recording started. We'll give it just a minute. And I'll
And this
do a
is
little
1 hour.
introduction. Yes, yeah, we usually have some time for questions at the end. I know you said your presentation is pretty interactive too, though, so and it's not unheard of for us to go past 7. But yeah, usually try and keep it around that time.
Okay, I'm gonna try.
Okay, awesome. We'll give it just another 2 minutes, and we'll try and get started right at 6 if you're concerned at all about time. So,
No, it's fine. Sounds good.
welcome everybody.
Sounds good.
We'll just give it 2 more minutes here,
There we
everyone, in case you missed me saying that before. Welcome everybody. We'll get started in just about a minute. Looks like there's lots of people joining right now, so I'll give it till 6:01 for everybody to get on. Right. Looks like the rapid joins have slowed down just a little bit. So I just wanted to say welcome everybody. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Allie Ryan. I am a tech employer specialist with Code U for the Louisville area. If you are currently in classes, we should probably get together at some point after you go through your career readiness modules. I work directly with employers to convince them to hire you all when you come out of the program. And I'm just going to be our host for tonight. Before we get to introducing Alisia, I just wanted to go over a few housekeeping things. Next week, we've got myself as well as the other tech employer specialists and the career coaches. We're going to be doing like an introduction to all of us to meet the team working for you. So that'll be next week on our speaker series. And then on the 24th of June, we will have Arnie Esquivel from Catalyte. He'll be doing an intro to Catalyte and what you need to start your career. So those are a few of the things we have coming up before summer break. We're also hopefully working on some events coming up for you, both in person and remote, in terms of career building and job fairs. So keep an eye in the Slack channels for those. And then lastly, for our modular folks, if you're attending as part of your career readiness requirement, don't forget to fill out the form in your Google Classroom to get credit for attending tonight. Definitely try and keep yourself muted throughout the presentation unless prompted. Alicia's let me know that her presentation is very interactive, so obviously try and engage whenever you can. We'll also have plenty of time for question and answer at the end, so if you're not fully comfortable coming off mute, drop questions in the chat as you get those. So right now we're going to welcome Alisia McClain. Alisia holds a PhD in educational evaluation and research from U of L. And she's also the founder and executive director of Technique, which is a nonprofit organization. Is that correct, Alisia? Okay, whose mission is to disrupt the gender and racial divide in tech. With that, I'll give it over to you, Alicia. Take it away.
All right. Good afternoon. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Allie, for having me here today. I'm really excited to be here. See some friendly faces. I think I saw Eileen as well, who I'll be working with soon. And Brian, of course, it's always good to see you. Excuse me. I'm always excited about the great work that Code Louisville is doing in our community, and so excited to talk to you all here this evening. I will say a couple of disclaimers. Number one, I do not know everything there is to know about artificial intelligence and or machine learning. I know a good bit though. But there will probably potentially be questions that you have that I may not necessarily have the answer to. And that's okay. This is a learning process for everybody. And I hope that if you're a person who's coming with a significant amount of technological expertise, slash someone who is fluent in training models and deploying models, that I hope that you will feel that you also still have something to learn, that we have something to learn from each other from this experience today. The second thing is, like, this is really interactive. It's not just like, give me your answer to this. It's literally like, we're all going to go to this and do this activity. And then I'm also going to be calling on people, but I do want to respect that not everybody is really in that space. And so if you're okay with being called on, then I encourage you to keep your camera on. If your camera is off, unless it's Brian, I'm calling on Brian Lurman. If your camera is on, then I'll know that you're okay with being called on. But I'm hoping that you will join me in doing these activities together. Part of this may feel a little juvenile because of the approach to how we're going to talk about artificial intelligence. But I think it's really important for this topic to be super simple for people to understand what's going on and to have an opportunity to interact with it. So with all that having said all that, I will go ahead and share my screen and we will get started. If you have a question, just go ahead and throw it in the chat or put your hand up rather than waiting until the end. I'm going to try my damnedest to make this an hour. It's really a full 90 minutes, but I don't want Brian to be mad at me. So Brian, how you doing?
I'm doing okay. And if you need to go long, go for it.
Okay, so 10:30 now. All right, so everybody can see my screen. Yes. All right, so this is artificial intelligence. What do we need to know? It is a production of one of our programs called The Fold, which is one of our answers to the question of how do we increase diversity in the field of technology? The biggest thing is that we teach young adults about artificial intelligence and then engage with them to become AI ambassadors to go out into the community. And make sure that the community knows what we need to know about this particular technology, or really revolution. Allie already introduced me. My name is Alisia McClain. I'm the founder and executive director, and I'm really excited to be here. This is the group of young people that represent The Folds. This is a very casual picture. This is at our opening retreat, and so we started in October of 2023. So we're coming up now where they're actually starting to go out and present. Some of them I'm taking this one just for various reasons, but it's been a really exciting program and it's going really well. And that brings me to where we are tonight. So our session objectives for today are: what is AI and how does it work? How can AI be used? And what are the ethical considerations and biases present in AI? And I will tell you that the framework that we're working with as far as AI goes, supervised learning, specifically focused a lot around facial recognition technology and computer vision in particular. So there's a lot to AI. Those of you who know AI know there's supervised learning, there's unsupervised learning, there's facial recognition, there's natural language processing. So rather than trying to give a huge overview of all of it, we're going to kind of focus on one particular thing that actually, as humans, considering I think 50% of our senses are sight, becomes something that's very applicable and very palatable for us as humans. So for the pre-work survey, and you actually might want to keep this tab open instead of scanning the QR code, you can go to tech-neek.org/resources. It's a secret page. It's a back cave. And so you can't find it on the website. You actually have to type in resources. If you could click the pre-work survey and answer the questions, that really helps us out, in particular, because we have this audacious goal of training 1,500 people in this training. And so we count our numbers by how many people fill out our survey. So if you would be so kind to humor us by going to this, and filling out this survey, I'll give it a couple minutes. And actually, I'm going to move forward for a second because I'm doing a little chat GPT fun while you're filling that out. So you can take the time that you need to fill that out. I'm going to do the next little activity on my own. Give you about 5 minutes. I just need to clarify that when it comes to ask questions, maybe if you want to turn your camera on, if you'd like to be asked a question, so that you don't have to feel like it has to be on the whole time. Give it about 30 more seconds, then I'm just going to move forward a little bit. For those of you who are finished, if you wanted to just drop your sort of like your affiliation with Code Louisville, like what you've, I hear you, Kyle, on snacking, on, you know, where you've been in Code Louisville, what, I guess, classes you've taken. It'd be good to see. All right. Brandy, student in web dev and software development, student mentor for the intro module. Awesome. Data analytics pathway, Eileen, mentor in data analytics, web dev, Code U. Third module of data analytics, just can't get enough. I feel that. Software pathway, web dev, broken IT. Okay, web dev, currently web dev, a lot of web devs. Okay. All right, cool. Good to know who we're talking to today. Software, data analytics student, Rodrigo, web dev. Okay, so majority web dev, maybe. All right, well, it's great to meet all of you. So we're going to go on to the next part, which is what is AI and how does it work? That's our first part we're going to talk about. We're going to have a little chat GPT fun. But like, does anybody feel like rapping? Like, who wants to actually rap right now? Is there anybody, any poets? How about poetry? Poetry. I'm getting nothing. Don't make me go Kendrick Lamar on everybody. I promise you, this is not what you want. But anyway, we're gonna have a little chat GPT fun. Okay, we're gonna have a little chat GPT fun. So we are going to go with 3 names of people who are present today. I'm going to actually pick this myself. I'm going to go with Rodrigo. Oh my God. Brian Lorman. Eileen. No, it's not. Hold on. I'm switching between 2 screens. Eileen.
It's a long one. It's a lot of letters.
Yeah, I love it. I love it though. We're gonna keep it. Did I jam it out? B-O-N-C-Z. B-O-N-C. No. C-Z. C-Z. All right. Who else? Eileen, who else should I put on here?
Let's see. How about Blake Matthews?
Blake. Balaki? Nothing.
Yeah. Or is that, I don't know. I'm just looking at the side. Yeah, B-L-A-K-E.
I think it's pronounced Balake.
Is it Blake?
No. No, it's not.
You guys think it's like reminds me of like the
Like, clearly everyone's me, but okay.
oh man.
About AI, how it works, and the ethics and bias of AI. Put it in the style of, am I going to throw this out? Who's it in the style of?
Bus driver.
How about, or is it of a rapper? Is that what we're saying? Or a poet?
Poet, maybe. I'm not really a rapper, but I could
No, I don't know very. Oh, so I
You
could name
threatened
a
to break
rapper.
out Kendrick Lamar. So
I'm
Oh, okay,
I
I was
mean,
gonna
I
say
could
Killer
start-
Mike, but you know.
I'm going to go with Maya Angelou. And make sure it mentions that. Let's see. Let me pick on somebody who's got their camera on. Okay, Rodrigo. Rodrigo, what did you have for, or going to have for dinner today?
I don't know, actually. Probably just some like spaghetti.
Okay. And make sure it mentions that Rodrigo is not sure what he's going to have for dinner today, but maybe spaghetti. All right, here we go. Make it short. I've got a damn class to teach. All right, here we go. You everybody want to say it? Everybody want to do it? It's a tough crowd, y'all. Okay, I'm in. I'm going in. In the realm where silicone dreams do thrive, Rodrigo ponders his supper, striving to revive his hunger's quest with a taste of spaghetti, while minds of machines weave webs so heady. Brian, with algorithms sharp as a lance, crafts the codes, each a digital dance, while Eileen's gaze with ethical might questions the biases hidden from sight. Blake, with his vision, sees beyond the veil, in the heart of AI where truths assail. Yet in this symphony of ones and zeros so vast lies the echo of choices, of futures contrast. For in this world where wires entwine, the dance of AI, a waltz divine, but heed the caution, the whispering call, for ethics and bias, they echo in all. In the tapestry woven by Angelou's pen, we find reflections of now and then, where Rodrigo dreams of his dinner so fine, while AI's mysteries intertwine. Yes, yes. Give it a snap. Give it a snap. All right, y'all, and that's about it for the class. I think we just wanted to maybe do a chat poem and maybe get to our spaghetti. Okay, we've got a raised hand from Matt. Matt, what you got? What do you want to say? I think.
That was totally an accident. So
Sometimes I do that when I'm trying to do an emoji reaction, if that's what you were doing.
that's absolutely what it was.
Got it. You gotta be careful with
I'm
me.
on mobile for the first time, so excuse the mishap.
Not a problem. Not a problem. All right, so that was just a little bit to get us started. And so now we're gonna go back to our agenda. All right, so we've got what is AI, and this is a little blurb from code.org on what is machine learning.
My name is Ale Flores, and I'm a product manager at Alexa.
My name is Dr. Chelsea Haupt. I work at the Allen Institute for Artificial Intelligence, and I work on an AI-powered academic search engine. All around you, computers are making decisions, and those decisions affect your daily life. When you do an internet search or scroll through your newsfeed, computers decide what you see. Computers can already recognize your face and understand your voice. And soon they'll be driving cars and detecting diseases even better than humans. So how is any of this possible?
You may have heard about something called AI, or artificial intelligence. True artificial intelligence is decades away. There's a type of AI called machine learning that is here today. It's a type of AI you probably interact with every day without even knowing it. And it has the opportunity to help us tackle some of the world's biggest challenges.
Machine learning is how computers recognize patterns and make decisions without being explicitly programmed. What's so exciting is that it's a completely different way to program a computer than what we've ever done before. With machine learning, instead of programming a computer step by step, you can program a computer to learn just like you learn, through trial and error and lots of practice.
Learning comes from experience, and that's true for machine learning too. In this case, experience means lots and lots of data. Machine learning can take in any kind of data, images, video, audio, or text, and begin to recognize patterns in that data. Once it learns to recognize patterns in the data, it can also learn to make predictions based on those patterns, like noticing the difference between an image of a car and an image of a bicycle.
AI and machine learning are playing a bigger and bigger role in society at large, and shaping all of our futures. That's why it's so important.
Whoops. Sorry. That's why it's so important. Period. Okay, so I'm going to ask you all a question. Brandy, do you mind if I ask you a question? Brandy Hornbuckle?
Go right ahead.
All right. Thanks for being a good, thanks for volunteering, voluntolding. So what is AI trying to mimic?
It's trying to mimic the way humans learn, specifically.
Yeah, exactly. And what is different about how humans learn and perhaps what you're learning in web development? I don't remember if that's what you said, but how is it different from how we learn software development, web development, coding, programming, etc.?
Well, it's for some people step-by-step works, but for a lot of people they've got to try repeatedly and experience it for themselves, and that's kind of what the machine seems to be doing.
Okay. But maybe it's still a little like, what's going on? Does it feel like that a little bit? Like, what is it doing still? Like, what is it? How's it
Yeah.
doing? Awesome. That's perfect. Thank you. I'm glad I paid you beforehand to say exactly what will take us right into the next. So let's explore how it works. We're going to watch this quick video, and I want to see if there are things that you wonder about this video. It's very quick.
The Ocean Cleanup, a non-profit organization, has removed 200,000 kilograms of plastic debris from the Great Pacific Garbage Patch during the first cleaning deployment of 2023. The specially designed cleaning system and AI-powered cameras are used to extract waste from the ocean. And during the first waste extraction drive of the year, they were able to extract 6,260 kilograms of waste, including fishing-related plastic waste. The system moves slowly beneath the ocean to protect marine wildlife, and the company aims to recycle the collected plastic waste and transform it into durable plastic products. The project was launched in 2013 with the goal of cleaning up 90% of floating plastics in the ocean by 2040, using a 2.4 kilometers long barrier to expedite the cleaning process. The Great Pacific Garbage Patch is 3 times the size of France and receives plastic waste from Asia, South America, and North America. The Ocean Cleanup, a non-profit
So what do you wonder when you see that video? I used to be a teacher, and there's a really interesting piece of teaching math that was to encourage people to ask themselves, what do I wonder about that? So when you see that video, what do you wonder? Does anybody want to volunteer? What do you wonder when you saw that video? Which
I
images
guess
are
about the voice. I don't know.
one more time,
the
Alex?
generated voice is always kind of off-putting. I mean, I always like to read about the garbage cleanup, but I get a lot of those things on my feed, but I'm just like, why didn't someone just narrate this as a human?
Is that so hard? Is that so hard? Yes, I see Kyle saying which images are actually from the project and the trash islands. Allison asking, did a person or AI make this video? Blake has raised a hand. Is that a real hand raise? I hope. If so, go ahead.
Hello? Hello? There I
Yes, hello.
Yeah, I always wonder about the veracity of the information, because these videos are, if they're being narrated by AI, it really makes you wonder, like, where are the clips coming from? Where are the images coming from? Are they being compiled by a person at all? Are they even being uploaded by a person? Probably not, to be honest, because I know you can use bots to upload things to social media pages. I know someone who actually does that, or used to do that. And then, you never know where they're pulling that information from, if it's actually true. It's just, there's a lot of stuff that, like, you're not aware of. Sorry about the noise.
No problem. You all have really interesting angles. I've never actually had people respond in this way. Yes, these are all very valid points. Amanda's saying the project started in 2013. I wonder when data collection started and what other data the pics have gathered. Yes. Rhiannon, do any fish get caught in the net? And if so, how many? That is, let's assume it's true what's happening. Let's assume it's true. Although, and I think you all make great points that maybe it's not. But let's assume it's true. What do we wonder about how it's able to do this? So Rhiannon, your question about do any fish get caught in the net? And if so, how many? Leads us to this sort of question around how does it differentiate between the fish and the trash, right? How do you stop it from not getting fish caught in the net? How many fish are okay? What percentage of fish what ratio of fish to trash is acceptable, right? Jennifer saying, I was just wondering where all the trash goes that was being extracted. Ooh, interesting. This also made me question how true the information was. This is fantastic feedback. Yes, y'all are like really focused on like, is this a deep fake? Basically, it's great. Assuming that it's not, we would need some sort of method to figure out what is fish and what is trash, right? And so in this next activity, we're actually going to be focusing on determining or using a differentiation between what is fish and trash to teach us how, in particular, supervised machine learning works. And so with that, I'm going to ask you to do an activity. So you're going to go back to that tech-neat.org/resources. You're going to go to the what do we need to know and click on the fish activity. Remember, you're going to need to put /resources in there. It's a hidden page. And so if you're on here, you're going to go down to artificial intelligence, what do we need to know? And click on the fish activity. That will take you to code.org. And an exercise that may seem pretty elementary, which it can be used in an elementary way, but like I said, does a really great job of sort of helping us understand what exactly is happening with artificial intelligence. You are, I think, hopefully going to be on 2. We might not be on 2, but we're going to do activities 2, 3, and 4. If you get there and it asks you to sign in, you don't have to. You just need to tell it that you're over 18 or put your age in or something. I want this to be off, the sound. So you're going to go through this exercise. You're going to do 2, 3, and 4, and then stop.
I'm getting the same vibes from this as like the Disney Channel games, like the Lilo and Stitch one when you would like stack up the sandwiches. Does anybody know what I'm talking about?
Definitely. It's giving 8-year-old. All right. So
Yeah, I know. I feel like I'm revealing my age here.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Okay. So I'm going to keep going until I get through to 4, and then we'll come back. I'll come back and keep going.
Alicia, we can't hear you. You're muted up.
Thank you, Don. Hey, Don, how's it going?
Wonderful.
Haven't
How
seen you
are
since
you?
good to see you. Thank you.
Good to see you
So that
too.
was a fairly elementary activity, right? Now we're going to try and use it to decipher sort of how machine learning works. If you want to go to, come on. If you want to go to back to the resources, you can click on the Miro activity, and that will take you to here. And this will take you to a very, very, very zoomed out version of what is next. Now you want to go to one that isn't actually already filled out. And we can do this together actually. It tends to be, I'm still kind of working on this activity, to be honest with you. So bear with me as we kind of try and give it a, why can't I give it a whirl? So when you come over here, there's some of them that are already done. So try to not do those. So if you come over here to where I am, over here on frame 46 right here, I've put some of them in there for you. But what we're going to do is, you're trying to move these 6 Post-its. Let me bring all of you to you. I think I can bring you to me. Bring everyone to me. All right, so so what you can do is actually make a copy of this whole frame, or you can try another frame, or you can just watch. But what we're going to try to do is, this is a traditional right here. This model right here is a traditional model used, excuse me, for in particular supervised learning, machine learning. So we're going to try to map the activity we just did onto a traditional machine learning model. So the fish and trash, I've done some of them for us just to kind of make it a little bit easier. The fish and trash coming by, that is our training data. Okay. And so then something else happens. And then it told us, when it told us that now the machine learning algorithm would try to classify the objects as fish or trash. Okay. So that is training data. Which one should go right here? First, the fish and trash started coming by. Then what happened? Anybody want to unmute? I'm not on that screen, so if you're raising your hand, I can't see you. You're just going to have to like unmute and say your piece.
Was it us clicking on? Sorry.
Yes, sorry. That's a human interaction, us actually working within it.
That's a second activity, actually. Just so you know, that's coming, what you asked. But I'm trying to get these right here over to the right spaces over here. Does that make sense? So what happened after the fish and trash started coming by? What did we then do?
We told it fish or trash.
Okay, so this one right here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we labeled the objects as fish or trash in the process of training the machine learning algorithm. And then the model told us that now the machine learning algorithm would try to classify the objects as fish or trash. That's when the model is created that's going to test itself on the next set of data. So before the AI now classified the objects as machine or trash, what was our input data? One of these 5. No? Nobody? Go for it, Carol. No, Carol left.
No, I'm here. Sorry, I've had this split screens. This is hard. This is breaking it
hard.
down
I
more
know.
than I realized. Like, so after we have the model,
Mm-hmm.
I guess and we've already we've already labeled whether it's fish or trash. Then we have the fish and trash start coming by.
Exactly. Again, right? For not us to classify the object as fish as trash, but what?
The machine.
The machine to classify the objects as fish or trash. Right? Now, the tricky part about using that activity for this is that some of the things are sort of built into one thing, and I'm sort of separating them out, and that makes it a little confusing. But the prediction piece is where, as it applies to this, activity, the fish sorting activity, is where what? You only got 4 left. You can't be too hard, right? What do you think? Anybody want to give it a go on what happens after when the AI classified the objects as fish or trash? Sorry, I just saw a typo. Anybody want to give it a go? Visiting writer? This one? Carol, you're saying when they showed us the screen of what the AI said was trash and what was fish, that's when the machine, and this is where it gets tricky because we want to think of it as like the prediction is the final thing. But the prediction is actually when the AI is showing us, I'm sorry, when the AI is making decisions on whether or not it's fish or trash. This next part becomes, every part of this is extremely important, but the next part is, and typically we think, oh, okay, it showed us the screen of what was fish and what was trash. Yes, I see you visiting Miro Hero. So when we decided whether to continue or train more, that is us evaluating the model. If we decide to continue, we're saying it's a successful model. Our percentage rate is high enough of being correct. Our rate of accuracy, our percentage of accuracy is high enough that we can deploy this model. This is us saying, no, it is not accurate enough, so we need to train it more. Okay, so if we just go through just real quick, when you have data that you're using to train a model, you don't give all of the data to train the model. You actually save a lot of it over here because you need to test the model. So when the fish or trash starting coming by, no one really ever does that. It's typically, I mean, nobody actually like sits there and boop, boop, boop. We have an incredible amount of data available to us. So this data is already labeled, right? And so this whole thing where we're saying fish, trash, is actually just showing a process that would already probably, for the most part, exist because the data would already be labeled. But that is us deciding which labeled data we are going to give to the machine learning model in order to determine whether or not it can predict what is a fish and what is trash. Once we give it the data, it trains on it, and then we give it fresh data that is also labeled, except we take off the label to see how well it will do at determining what is fish or trash. We know what's fish or trash, right? And then the model says, okay, here's my prediction. I think that's fish, that's fish, that's trash, that's another sea creature, but still belongs in the ocean. Then we decide whether to continue it or train it more. So there's the key piece of this that I hope you'll walk away with is that there is a lot of human components to this process. So we've got now label each step with whether it's a human activity or a computer activity. So who decides? I kind of changed this because the fish or trash starting to come by, who's going to decide? Does the computer decide or does the human decide what our training data is going to be? Yes. Thank you, visiting Miro Hero. That is a human activity as far as what all of the data is going to be. So I think Miro Hero is going to take us to the other part too. Yes, this is kind of the same thing, Miro Hero. This is kind of like all the same thing. So, but there's another one, right? That's data that goes in, right? So where should this go? Y'all are killing it. Yes, fantastic. All right, training data. That's a human activity. I'm just going to slide this down. Don't be mad, but I'm just going to put this here so it's clear where we are on the diagram. All right, the AI classifying the objects as fish or trash. Yes, that is a computer activity. When they showed us the screen of what the AI said was trash and what was fish, yes, that's a computer activity. Who is visiting Miro Hero? Who is that? Be honest. Reveal yourself.
It's me. I think. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's me.
Awesome. Okay. If we decided to train more, is that human or computer? When we labeled the objects as fish or trash, is that a human or computer activity?
Human.
Yes, exactly. If we decided to continue, is that a human or computer activity? It's a human activity, exactly. When it told us that now the machine learning algorithm to try to classify the objects as fish or trash, last one that hasn't been labeled, is that human or computer? Exactly. Now, what do you think the point? Anybody want to, I guess, raise your, I know it's hard because there's like 25 of us, but anyone want to give it a go on why do you think we just did this? This second part, well, the first part too, but also the second part.
Is it
Why
to
do you
sort of highlight that even though this is machine learning, they're still mostly run by human decision making?
That is exactly right, because that oftentimes is what is lost in the description of artificial intelligence, is that there is a huge human element to machine learning. In fact, it's most of the element. And so when something goes wrong, which we'll talk about that here in a second, it's tempting to be like, well, I mean, it was a computer. We don't know what happened, but it's actually very much in the overseen and enacted by humans. So that was the point of that activity. Does anybody have any questions before we move on from that activity? All right. Then we will move on. So it's tricky. I got to go back and all right. So where are we? Okay. So this is a discussion we were going to have, but actually, I'm just going to ask someone to answer either one of these questions. What is it, or how does it work? Somebody want to give it a go?
I think your screen may not be showing what you think it's showing, Alicia.
There we go.
Oh,
there we go. Sorry. Thank you. So what is AI, or how does AI work? And please, a lot of times people start to go sort of like esoteric at this point. They're sort of like philosophical about, use the activity that you just did, that we just did together, to inform how does it work. Anybody want to give it a go?
Somebody develops a model of how to process information, and it repeats that model over and over very quickly.
Yes. What are some of the pitfalls you see, Brian? Potential issues.
Where to begin? Human error introduced, human biases that are amplified, bad data that's fed in.
Okay, stop. You're gonna wait the rest of the call. I'm just messing with you, but keep going. I'm sorry. Finish that one. Bad what?
No, I was going to say bad confirmation of what's correct or not, leading to bad input data again.
Absolutely. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate your input. Now that you know what AI is and how it works, what are some examples of AI that you've seen? I feel like we've seen a lot of AI, of examples. I'm actually going to skip this discussion question. So we're going to go to how can AI be used? And actually it's supposed to piggyback off of where are some examples that you've seen. I think probably most people know that AI has to do, or is used on social media. The algorithms that you see, or what comes up in your news feed, is going to be different for Brian, for me, for Eileen, based on the algorithm that caters to what our preferences are, based on what we like, what we repost, what we comment on, etc. But we've all had to crop a photo, right? So this next activity deals on what do we crop out and why. So this is another, I'm going to ask somebody, let's see. Well, because of time, we're going to kind of do this together, but you can definitely do this on your own. This is going to be back on the Technique resources page. And we are going to be clicking on the Code Studio. This one I think is a really interesting 21. That's all you need to know. So this one I think is pretty interesting. I'm gonna try and zoom in a little bit. So I could zoom. Stop. My dog. Every time I get on it, stop. I'm also using like a keyboard that I don't typically use. Bear with me. You don't want to let me do it. Let's try one first. Okay. Can you all see this okay? I mean, I know I'm below it, but can you see what's going on over here? Are you on? Are we on the right? Yes. Okay. So who wants to be like my forever friend on this? And, I'm sorry, that's not clear at all. I'm going to keep asking you a series of questions as we go along. Who wants
I was gonna jump in and I said I'll be your forever friend, whatever that entails.
All right,
Are
Eileen.
we not already forever friends, Alicia? Are we not already forever friends?
Yeah, already forever friends. All right, it's going to be Brian and Eileen, okay? You all are going to get the questions. And so here we go. I'm going to do it. We're going to do it together. If I can find that screen where that was. All right. All right, Brian, we'll start with you. Where should I crop this picture?
Who am I cropping it for?
You.
The left, or I'm sorry, the right half, slightly more than right half of it.
Maybe like here?
Are we restricted to that box size? Okay.
Yes, we're restricted, unfortunately.
Then yes. Yes, I
Okay.
guess about like that.
There. All right. Eileen, you okay with that?
Yeah, that's what I would choose as well.
Okay. Eileen, you're next. Where are you cropping this one?
I'd do it right over the sign, like the road closed sign, like a little
Okay.
bit to the right. And maybe like a tiny, like I would like center the sign itself. Yeah, that's what I would do.
Here. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Brian, you're up. Where are you cropping this one?
Trying to get part of his face and the basketball both in the frame.
Like here, maybe?
Yeah, something like that. Maybe a little more of the face.
More of the face? Because the basketball you can tell pretty quickly. Is that okay?
Yep.
All right. Yeah. Tell somebody's playing basketball, right? All right, Eileen, you're up. Where are you cropping this one?
Now let me zoom in a little bit here. Oh dear. That's tricky. I guess I would want the, I don't know, because I don't know whether I care about if it's all one, like if it's all one bar or if it's two different places. I guess it's one because it's a Cadillac lounge. So I guess maybe I would want the top part of the sign inside the top part of the box, like go down a little bit. Yeah, and then to the right a little bit.
Good. More?
To the right, just like a little bit more. I'd want like a little bit of the picture of like, yeah, like probably there. Mhm.
Okay. Brian, are you in full agreement of this?
Well, I may be jumping the gun here, but it depends on what this is for. I mean,
Absolutely. You're not jumping the gun. Depends on what it's for, right? And
yeah,
so
pure aesthetics, I'd go something more centered on the image.
okay. I wanted to just do the car. I was like, whoa, a car upon that's what I would crop right there. Like, oh, there's a cool Cadillac, pink Cadillac up on the wall of a building. That's what I would pick. It depends on the situation, depends on the person, right? So let's keep going. I'm gonna skip this one. What about this one? Who are we? Brian, where are we cropping?
Yikes.
Yikes.
Towards the top. Just trying to get, somewhere in there.
Okay. That good?
Sure.
Okay, let's do it. All right, Eileen, you're up. Where are you cropping?
Hey, sorry, my 4-year-old's having a little bit of a meltdown, so apologies. There's gonna be some cries. I would crop over maybe the guy with the newspaper if I had to choose one. I don't know why. I would just choose that one. I would choose like one person, I think.
Okay. All right. All right. Brian, you're up. Where are we cropping?
I guess try and get as much of the protester with the fist in the air if possible.
Here?
Yeah, I think that's good.
Okay. All right. Eileen, what about this one?
Oh gosh. It's so tough. If I don't know any of these people, I'm gonna crap right on the dog because I like dogs more than people.
A lot of people said the dog, actually.
Yeah, there we go.
So I'm gonna skip, I think, a couple of them. What about this one?
Asking me or Brian?
Either one.
Flip a coin.
I know this is one of the ones where it's like, I feel like,
Careful.
You're
with
biased.
your
Like it's just a bias question.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. It's like my first instinct was the woman, but then I'm like, well, what does that say about my biases? Why did I say
Oh,
that?
right. What
First,
does it say? And
Yeah.
I like the man. For some reason, to me, he's got an interesting face. Like he drinks and knows things, or something. Like, I feel like he knows things. And see, why did I think that the man knew things? And like it gets tricky. The point is,
I just think it's because he's got like a detective coat on,
maybe. Yeah, I think it's because he's older. Actually, he
Yeah,
seems
that too,
wise
yeah.
or something. She's pretty, but like I feel like he's wise. But why
Hers
couldn't
looks
she?
more like airbrushed, and his looks more like a real picture too. I
Right.
think.
Like, what if that's her and she's actually like,
Stunning.
Yeah, flawless.
Right.
Could be.
So the point is, it gets tricky, right? Like it gets hard, and especially if you have to start picking between people, then you start to feel a whole certain type of, or a whole type of way about having to crop those pictures or having to make the decision on those pictures. So that leads us to our next question. We sort of talked about this. What did you disagree on what to crop, and what made it challenging was sort of the subjective component of this, that you have to decide what you feel like is the most important thing in the picture, which leads us to, can an AI program that automatically crops photos show favoritism in deciding what to keep and what to get rid of? Can AI be racist? Let's keep digging. Leads us to part 3, ethics and bias in AI. We're only going to watch a part of this, but it's pretty powerful. Nope.
The algorithm prioritizes white.
Christoph, you can get even lower. Okay. This is Lee, and this is Christoph. They're two of the hosts of this show. But to a machine, they're not people. This is just pixels. It's just data. A machine shouldn't have a reason to prefer one of these guys over the other. And yet, as you'll see in a second, it does.
It feels weird to call a machine racist, but I really can't explain what just happened.
Data-driven systems are becoming a bigger and bigger part of our lives, and they work well a lot of the time. But when they fail,
once again, it's the white guy.
When they fail, they're not failing on everyone equally.
If I go back right now,
you can have neutral intentions, you can have good intentions, and the outcomes can still be discriminatory.
Whether you want to call that machine racist or you want to call the outcome racist, we have a problem. I was scrolling through my Twitter feed a while back, and I kept seeing tweets that looked like this. Two of the same picture of Republican Senator Mitch McConnell smiling, or sometimes it would be 4 pictures of the same random stock photo guy. And I didn't really know what was going on, but it turns out that this was a big public test of algorithmic bias, because it turns out that these aren't pictures of just Mitch McConnell. They're pictures of Mitch McConnell and Barack Obama.
Oh, wow.
So people were uploading these really extreme vertical images to basically force this image cropping algorithm to choose one of these faces. People were alleging that there's a racial bias here. But I think what's so interesting about this particular algorithm is that it is so testable for the public. It's something that we could test right now if we wanted to.
Do it.
You guys want to do
Yeah.
it? Okay. Here we go. So Twitter does offer you options to crop your own image, but if you don't use those, it uses an automatic cropping algorithm.
Wow. There it is.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Christoph, it likes you. Okay, let's try the happy
Wow.
one.
Unbelievable.
Both times.
What is this?
Oh, wow.
So, do you guys think this machine is racist?
The only other theory I possibly have is if the algorithm prioritizes white faces because it can pick them up quicker for whatever reason against whatever background, immediately it looks through the image and tries to scan for a face. Why is it always finding the white face first?
With this picture, I think someone could argue that the lighting makes Christoph's face more sharp. I still would love to do a little bit more systematic testing on this.
Okay, we're going to stop that right there. This is a great, if you want to watch the 22-minute version of this, it's a really cool video. I do want to stop and be respectful of that it's 6:59. I've probably got about another 15 minutes of the presentation. I will keep going if that's okay, but if people need to drop, I understand that as well. Is that okay, Allie?
Yeah, good with me. We'll keep recording.
Okay. Okay, and so we're going to go to the next slide. So I'd like, if you can, to put your answers in the chat. If you were the CEO of Twitter, and this was back when it was Twitter, and found evidence of bias in your cropping algorithm, how would you respond? What steps would you take?
Alicia,
yeah,
this is Gwen. I would say to do some testing to see if the evidence is something we should, we need to look into it, right? So yeah, I would say to test it, and then if we do find that there's some bias, then maybe we need to retrain our algorithms somehow to eliminate that bias, but I'm not sure how to do that.
Okay. Thank you, Gwen. I see. This was pre-Elon. Thank you, Eileen. I would use those extremely vertical images and try to test or teach it not to be biased. Same. And figure out why it was focusing on just the white faces. Most likely it was due to programmer bias. I would acknowledge what is happening, validate the legitimate concerns, and then outline how I plan to retrain Twitter's algorithm. All right. Don't look. But what do you think Twitter did? Rhiannon said, I'd look into why it chose what to choose and what to crop. Aaron, I would have the algorithm develop a queue of answers. It's first choice and second choice and so on. Nothing because it's Elon Musk. In its defense, this was pre-Elon Musk. What would you do if you're Twitter? Amanda says nothing. It actually got worse. Any other thoughts? Well, I would put the thumbnail in the very center of the image, which gets a little tricky. You're just saying no matter what, just put it in the center. That's fair. Create the same environment for the photos and run systematic testing. You think that's what Twitter did? Or maybe you're just putting in what would you do? Okay, so what Twitter did. What did Twitter do? Just stop using it. If you click on the CNN article, you can see in the resources on the website, Twitter says its image cropping algorithm was biased, so it's ditching it. I won't go through the entire article, but Twitter's conclusion comes months after the company said it would look into the algorithm. we considered the trade-offs between the speed and consistency of automated cropping with the potential risks we saw in this research. One of our conclusions is that not everything on Twitter is a good candidate for an algorithm, and in this case, how to crop an image is a decision best made by people. And so soon after that, he was not the CEO of Twitter anymore, but it is good to know that, Twitter at that time, this is back in 2021, took steps to rectify it. When it couldn't rectify it, decided to pull it. Now, that doesn't mean that another, face crop or picture, that another cropping algorithm hasn't been introduced and it's actually worse than before. But the fact remains that something good was done here. The correct decision was made here. They took responsibility for it. First of all, they looked into it. They took responsibility for it. And when they couldn't fix it, they stopped it. This is the way things should be handled when we make mistakes, as humans will, to take full responsibility and take steps to rectify the situation. Which brings us to our last and final activity, my favorite one. Okay, so if you go back to, we already did this, Twitter's response. If we go back to the Miro board, we will, sorry, I'm in all over the place. We will do our final activity. There it is. All right, so now this is important to remember here. What we did here, whoa, what happened over there? Now I'm going to go over to the what went wrong activity. Go over here to frame 82 and bring everyone to me. Okay, so based on what we've learned about today, let's think about what happened. There we go. Where to put the following post-its in order to understand what possibly happened in the Twitter example. What actually happened and what's just an excuse? And you can work on mine. You can go over to some other ones and work on one to the left or the right. If you look far enough, you'll find all the answers. So that's, if you want to do that too, that's okay. Let me ask somebody. Brian, you still with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. System glitch. Is that just an excuse or is that potentially a step in what went wrong?
Yeah, it's potentially a step.
System glitch? I'm going to push back on
maybe I misunderstand the question.
That's possible. That's possible. Let me see. Let me try another one. Let's see. I'm an entrepreneur. We're supposed to move fast and break things. Is that what led to the outcome, or is that just an excuse?
Both. It's an excuse. It's an excuse.
No. I hear you though. The way this activity is stylized, it's not necessarily like. I think once you see it, it's like, oh, okay, that's what you mean. That's what you're saying.
Okay.
What about the computer is outdated? Is that an excuse or actually something that happened?
Something that happened.
Really? Brian, let's get together and redesign this activity together.
Okay.
When asked about what happened, if somebody says, oh, I'm an entrepreneur, we're supposed to move fast and break things. That's kind of an excuse, right? Like, yeah, I mean, okay, but like, that's kind of an excuse. Let's see, which one was I asking about? It's the computer's fault. Is that an excuse? Or, well, actually, let me go over to the, okay, yeah. It's an excuse. Yeah, it's the computer's fault. We don't know what happened. That's an excuse, right? What actually, okay, so let me switch to somebody else. I'm sorry, not in a bad way. I'm talking to you. Twitter algorithm is racist. Where is that in this process? Is it in this process?
Are
Anybody?
you still asking me or somebody else?
I don't know. I'm just kind of throwing it out there.
It could be, and then what happened, and then the end result is that there's not enough diversity. Well, no, that would be the other way around.
Exactly.
Well,
Stay with it. Where's Twitter algorithms races go?
maybe the light blue, the yellow box.
Here?
Light.
Here.
Light blue. I'm gonna go with just light blue, and someone can correct me.
Let's just put it there. Let's see. Not enough diversity in the data set. You can keep it. I'm sorry, whoever was speaking to me, I'm on the mural board. I can't quite see who was talking to me. You can keep or pass it to somebody else. Not enough diversity in the data set. Where's that go?
I put that at the end result.
The end result is that there's not enough diversity in the data set. Okay.
I think it would actually more go in yellow or purple.
Okay.
Part of the process and not a result of the process.
If we go back over here, we know the process, right? Maybe here. Yeah. We know the process. First, there's training data. Then the machine learning algorithm is trained. The algorithm is trained. The model is trained. Then we have more data. And then the AI gives it a go. And then it makes a prediction. And then we decide whether or not we're going to deploy it or train it more. So if we think in those terms, where...
Okay. Let me put the Twitter algorithm as racist because it's the end output, because we didn't evaluate the model's performance with enough tests and chose to deploy it even though there were flaws because it wasn't enough diversity.
Yep.
Not going because of that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. How about you say the Twitter algorithm is racist, and I think these are the ways that it became so. And somebody says, but I don't think you actually understand how AI works. Which one is that?
That's an excuse.
That's an excuse. How about, the server went down?
That's an excuse too.
An excuse. Algorithm was hallucinating.
It's an excuse.
It's an excuse, y'all. Sorry. Listen, we can follow up later and we can talk about the black box and everything. But at the end of the day, we're the ones who deploy it. We're the ones who evaluate it and decide whether or not it needs enough or whether or not it's had enough training. And so when something goes wrong, ultimately it's our fault. System glitch. System glitched. We don't know what happened. That's an excuse. Computer's outdated.
It's an excuse.
We don't know what happened. That's kind of an excuse. I need you to look into it. So where does the problem start? It starts, and it's not just this. That's the thing. It's not just having diversity at the decision-making table.
It could be a flawed algorithm from the get-go.
Absolutely. It could be a flawed algorithm from the get-go that wasn't caught, right? Because there wasn't enough diversity in the data set. And then we didn't evaluate the model's performance across a diverse enough test set. And then we deployed the model, even though the evaluation showed flaws or didn't examine flaws closely enough. Let me give you a great example of this. And I'm just going to do it for race, not that that's the only thing. I'm not saying that because that's the only thing that can go wrong as far as, underrepresented or marginalized groups. That's not the point. It's just one that's partially I know. So typically when we're looking at statistical models and whether or not they're accurate, we're looking for at least 80% accuracy. The problem is, what percentage of the population, again, I'm just saying Black people, not because we're the only people there. What percentage of the population is Black? Like 13%, right? So if you got an 80% accuracy model, you would say, oh, that's probably pretty good. But what if everybody in the training data nobody was Black? You would still hit 80%, right? But you don't have a diverse enough set of training data, right? If you have a diverse set of training data, but when you test it, the data is not diverse enough, then it's going to come out and say, oh yeah, we're at 98% accuracy. Yeah, but the training data wasn't actually diverse enough. Right. So the point of this is not that, you know, AI is trash, slash, you know, that's not, or that humans are trash. The point is that this is a very careful process that we have to be very careful with. We're just talking about things like discrimination. We haven't even gone into like wiping out the entirety of humanity. Wiping out the entirety of humanity. But we are living in Skynet times. Like, this is a very, very exciting and cool technology that's also extremely dangerous. I don't know if you're seeing what's happening with Sam Altman, the founder of OpenAI, and how he's being criticized that they are now starting to sacrifice safety for money. These are white folks saying this. This isn't NAACP marching on. This is like people whose representation is not, you know, they're not underrepresented in the field, and they're still saying this is very, very much potentially dangerous because we're pursuing profit over safety. This is a huge, huge deal. And so I hope this activity, flawed as it may be, sort of helps to bring home sort of why it's important that we understand and take responsibility for what happens when we deploy AI models. And with that, I have one more slide. I'm just going to ask folks to respond on. These were our session objectives. What is AI? How does it work? How can it be used? And what are the ethical considerations and biases present in AI? Give it a go. If you're someone who has been fairly unfamiliar. I know there's some folks, clearly Brian and others have had you know, a lot of experience with AI. But if you haven't, I encourage you to speak up and give it a go with one of these questions. Which question can you respond to of these 5 questions? You can pick whichever one you want. You can put it in the chat. You can speak out.
How does AI work? We should make it much more explicitly clear that it is just a tool, an efficiency tool that is embedded with just as much human error as any other human tool. It has to be approached with a high degree of skepticism as like the basis.
Yeah, absolutely. What else?
I like the who or what is responsible when AI goes wrong. To me, if we are the ones training the data and we already have, you know, very apparent racial issues in our society, it would make sense to me that the models that we train would also have, you know, racial bias too.
Yeah, absolutely. Racial, gender, intellectual, like all kinds of biases. Exactly. Absolutely. They're going to replicate who we are as humans, and we are flawed humans. I want to address Kyle's comment in the chat. It seems like a lot of assumptions are being made about these types of assertions. I guess I'm having trouble understanding the A to C of some of these things. For instance, when you say system glitch is an excuse, I don't know if that is true, because I can imagine scenarios where a glitch could cause those sorts of issues. I think it's a valid point, Kyle. And I think it's a valid assertion to make, I think. The problem is not really that a system glitch can't ever happen. It's that a lot of times we like to deflect and say like, oh, it was like the computer, like it's all the time. If it was like most of the time they took responsibility and some of the times it was a system glitch, okay. But most of the time it's human error that's causing it to go wrong. It's typically that somewhere in the process, something was not done with enough factors considered or enough diversity considered. So that's interesting. That's a very interesting statement you're making. That's fair, but human error and human bias are not the same thing. Kyle, that is a whole conversation we can have about the intentions behind bias and whether or not they're intentional or not. I hear what you're saying. They can be the same thing though, but I appreciate the conversation. I appreciate the feedback and the pushback. These are the types of conversations that we need to be having. Is human error the same thing as human bias? if an algorithm, if a model is deployed and it's harmful? Should we examine the intentions rather than assuming that it came from, you know, from bad intentions or something? Kyle, I hear you. I hear you on this passion. Do you think most programming issues are caused by bias or mistake? The issue to me is that lives will be lost because of this. It can't be that it cannot be that we are so deep into whether it's bias or whether it's human error that we don't actually see that we can't afford errors on this technology. Whether or not most programming issues are caused by bias, in what ways will lives be lost? Okay, so I drive a Tesla Model 3. I have full self-driving. If we have full self-driving enabled, the car has to make decisions. If that car recognizes, has to make a decision on who it's going to hit, and it decides to hit a white person instead of a black person because it was not programmed to recognize black people as people, which has actually happened before, then lives have the potential to be lost. When we think about maternal, I'm just giving you examples that are coming to the top of my head. When we think about maternal mortality rates, Black female maternal mortality rates are higher, in the United States than in developing countries. And so if an algorithm is configured that determines my course of care as a Black woman that's about to have a child, and it goes on based on what was historically prescribed, I have the potential for my life to be lost. It is a very, very much a serious issue. And I would encourage all of you to not take my word for this. Go and do the research on your own, but please be present and careful about this technology. Sure, Kyle, and I appreciate the push to get more information. But the biggest thing about this is stay present and continue to find out more information about this technology. And maybe you have questions with it, and maybe you have debates about it. That's fantastic. We need to be talking about this technology. We need to be debating about this technology. We need to be arguing about this technology, but we need to be informed about this technology as well. Ali talking about the incorporation of AI into defense and police models. There's a lot deeper conversations, and we need to continue to have them. And it's 7:20 right now. So I see a couple people have raised their hands. Blake, Randy, and...
Do you mind if I toss in just a quick story that kind of, I think, illustrates some of the challenges with this world?
Absolutely.
So, this kind of gets to the point that I think maybe Kyle was getting to, but everyone involved in the process can have the best intentions and still things can get out of hand. So there's a developer I know, and he did a presentation years ago for Code Global, who had been developing a machine learning algorithm, AI essentially, to help a bank determine who to give loans to. And that's a judgment call somebody has to make is who gets loans and who doesn't, who's likely to pay it back and who's not. And he had all the best intentions. He was, doing his best to program a fair system. But he wasn't the one who gathered the data. Well, the person who loaded the data in also was doing the same thing. They were trying to load data in a fair and, unbiased way. But the data was coming from that bank and other banks' histories of loaning stuff that dated back all the way to the 50s that they still had records of. And that was when we had redlining and things like that, where there was systematic, intentional and unintentional racism just all over, the whole loan industry. And it's nobody in that process, in the tech part of that process, had any ill intentions whatsoever, but you just could not scrub the bias out of some of that data, because that's just how it was. Life, history had that in it. And so it's just really challenging. How do you address, everyone can have the best intentions and still introduce horrible biases into these systems when they are run automatically. I don't know if
You're muted, Alicia.
How are we gonna debate this technology appropriately if you can't figure out where your mute button is. And I think a big part of it is who is at the table. And to be clear, I am someone who does not have a visible physical handicap. And so, or disability, sorry, a visible physical disability. And so I should not be at the table deciding on algorithms and deploying algorithms about people whose group I am not a part of. And so it's really one of those things where had I been at the table, in particular for this Twitter algorithm thing, I would have made sure that Black folks were not being picked second over others. You know what I'm saying? So this is where the diversity at the table really becomes important. And that's really sort of the impetus for this class. Once we start to educate ourselves around this technology, understand how it works. And I know you're not gonna learn everything from an hour class that went on too long. You know, like it's to spark an interest, to hopefully encourage you to look further into this technology and to pay attention. There's crazy stuff happening right now around AI, and especially this open AI and Sam Altman thing. Like you have to like stay focused on that, because that's very interesting. Then he was fired by his board. Microsoft says they're going to take him on, and then all of a sudden he's rehired. Like there's some crazy stuff going on in there, and so it's not funny at all. It's so insane to me that it's sort of hilarious to me, because I don't really know what to do with the information, because it's at once scary and also fascinating and also really, really amazing to help me with production on another, it's like it's a crazy ride. It's a crazy technology, and it's a pretty interesting time to be alive, honestly. If you want to take this post-work survey, I just wanted to put it up there so you can take it. I also know there's some people with their hands up, and so while people are taking the post-work survey, if anybody wants to make a comment, let me see, where were we? Now is the time. Yes, Gwen is posting machine bias risk assessments in criminal sentencing. It's serious business, y'all. It's for real. He had too many secrets, period. I think some people had their hands up. So
I did. I just, for one of the other questions that we have, ethical consumption of data was just something I wanted to have people think about. There are plenty of websites scraping artists' work and then using that to power AI generative art without their permission. Same thing with books and news articles and things like that. Google actually recently got fined by the EU for that. So there's, there's the question of, is the data you're consuming good or not? And then there's the question of, do you even have permission to be consuming that data?
Yep. Absolutely. You see, absolutely. Brandy, I hope you'll take that on and be the person who, the thing to me about AI as opposed to other technology, but you could argue with me on that, but there really is something that resonates with everybody. And so I really think it's important. I gave sort of a general overview, but I think it's important for us to be able to walk away from this, or in general, this workshop didn't have to inspire it, but with something that you can have a conversation with somebody about. That's debatable. To your point, Brandy, about, just because you can, it's like the Jurassic Park thing. You were so caught up in whether or not you could, you forgot to ask whether or not you should. And so before we have T-Rex in San Francisco, like, should you be using somebody else's data? When does that constitute you actually lifting or plagiarizing somebody else's content? And so it's a fascinating debate. I would love to have another one of these where we just sort of, talk about a different issue, and maybe Brandy, you bring that issue to the table and people have an opportunity to talk about it. But there's a lot here. There's a lot to talk about.
Can I add something real fast?
Sure.
So I just finished a cybersecurity class, and they pushed the idea of zero trust protocols to keep systems like most secure. So you don't trust anybody, like not even like the highest security official on your team. Everybody has to go through multiple levels of authentication. So if we applied that level of stringency to developing AI, if we're going to keep moving past machine learning level into true AI, we like 80% is terrible for a standard accuracy model. We're going to have to, if we can be content with zero trust security, we should be content with like striving towards perfection with artificial intelligence, whatever I guess that would mean.
Yeah. Well said, Carol. Well said. Anything else?
No.
We're good? All right.
Yeah,
I think that's about it. We were going to write a chat poem about it, but just want to say thank you. Thanks so much for having me, and for participating and giving feedback and so thank you. Appreciate you having me here, and I hope to come back soon, or to come to somebody else on this team presenting about AI. It's a really fascinating subject. Oh, thanks. I see thanks.
Yep. Thanks, Alisia. This was
Thanks,
great.
Alisia.
I wish we had more time for conversation.
No,
Obviously, we were very engaged, which is great. So thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alicia.
This recording will be available.
I'll see you on Thursday,
so
Alicia.
we'll see you guys.
Oh,
yeah,
well, I'm assuming you're coming to Empower Up. Maybe you're
I'll
not.
be a little late, but I'll be there. Yeah, I'll see you Thursday. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Thanks, y'all.